Complexity Made Simple. My name is Paul Allen, and the subject of today's video newsletter, well, we're going to talk about how to be more patient and get the most out of your data collection techniques. And this all relates as well to sample size. So it relates to SPC, statistical process control, but this is crucial. Be more patient. If you do this with your processes, what you will learn will be fantastic. Okay, so be more patient. So where does this newsletter start? Well, we're going to start with the idea of having a good sample size. What you're trying to do, of course, you're constantly trying to see this distribution which is coming out of your process. And you know, if you're thinking statistically, which I want you to do, you'd be thinking about the signal, which of course is the middle of the data, the average that we're going to get. So we would typically, of course, use the mean to define the signal. But you're also interested in the noise, the width of this distribution, the range of this thing. So you are also interested in the noise. So if you think about the signal, you think about the noise, and really the noise is defined by the range. Okay, so that's thinking statistically, the signal and the noise. Now, of course, in order to do that, you need to take some data, you need to take some samples, and to be quite honest, you need to let the picture form. Okay, so you know, if you just take one, what's that telling you? Well, it's certainly not telling you any range. If you just take two, what's that telling you? Well, now I do have a range. But of course, given that these events out here get quite rare, what's the chance that I'm really going to see what's going on? Well, if I don't take a good sample size, I won't get a good estimate. So we want to get a good estimate. We want to get a good picture of what's going on, because every number you collect out of your process is an estimate. So we want a good estimate. Now, how do we normally try to advise you to get that? Well, the statistical technique that we advise, and I use a rule, I don't do the calcs very often, is the idea to get a good estimate. I want to use a good sample size. And for this type of picture, it's measurable data, it's continuous data. What type of sample size would I recommend? Well, the sample size I would recommend is 30 to 50. Okay, so if I've got 30 to 50, I can see that picture and I can judge what the hell is going on. So that's kind of important. Now, you could do that at the beginning. You could do that in new product introduction, for instance, and you could understand what's going on. And of course, if you compare it to tolerances, you might decide that the picture fits inside the tolerance and that you've got a good product that's going to work ongoing with a very low defect rate. Or indeed, you might have an issue like this where you're literally designing disaster in, and you're going to have a capability problem ongoing, and you're going to have to do 100% inspection in order to get the problem sorted, in order not to send the problem to the customer, etc. So you might get the 30 to 50 at the beginning to make some decisions. But of course, the operator needs to see this as well. One of the things the operator needs to see, he needs to make the signal hit the target. So the signal, of course, needs to hit the middle of your specification. It needs to hit the nominal. Well, this is where you need to be more patient. You need to be more patient. So let me talk about what we're practically, what are we on about? And it's the idea of your operator taking data. Let's say that let's put a center line in, which is the target that I want to hit. Be more patient. Get your operators to be more patient. What they'll tend to do, they'll take one data point and they'll decide that that's above the target, and they'll want to, it's human nature by the way, to want to adjust a process. We like to think we're driving a car when we run a machine, and it's human nature now to want to step in and adjust. Now I learned a little bit of notation from a guy who I would recommend all this gentleman's textbooks if you get the opportunity to buy them. Don Wheeler. And one of the things that Don Wheeler does in his books about statistical process control is that when you're plotting a graph, if you adjust the process, he doesn't join the data points together. So think about what's happening. This operator has taken one sample. He's taken one sample from the blue distribution. Now he needs to see the blue distribution in order that he can make an intelligent choice about whether to adjust, okay? But once he's got one data point, he will have a tendency to go and swing on it, all right? Because he's under pressure. People don't want to make defects, so they want to take action, so they can't be scapegoated. If you're taking action to get the process to work, nobody can complain. If you're standing there drinking tea and reading the paper, you can easily be criticised. So they don't like to be patient. He wants to adjust. So let's say after one data point, he decides to go and adjust. Well, what's he just done? Well, what he's just done is he's moved the blue distribution. Let's say he's moved it down there. Now he gets another data point. Now, one of the things Wheeler encourages you to do is not to join those two data points together. They don't kind of live together. They're not from the same distribution. So don't join them with a line. Leave a gap. So let's say, okay, he takes a data point and he's closer, so he's happier. So he decides to leave it alone. Then he takes another data point. So he's taking this from the same distribution. These now, they do kind of live together. So because they're from the same distribution, join them together. So he's taken two data points. Now maybe he's looking, I'm below the nominal, I'm going to adjust now. Well, if he adjusts again, leave a gap, okay, because these don't belong to this one, okay, so he's got another distribution, and we'll say that he's put that distribution now, we'll say he's put it there, so now he's got the black distribution, got a data point close to the middle, takes another one, joins them together, okay, then he adjusts again, we'll say, alright, so he makes another adjustment. I'm running out of colours here. Let's put the blue one and put it down there. Maybe he puts it down there and he gets another data point here. Maybe this time he waits, he's a little bit more patient and he gets 3 data points and he goes to there, but then he adjusts, leave a gap, gets a couple of data points. Okay, now then, let's go to what I started with. Be more patient. I'm saying 30 to 50 is a good sample size for him to get in front of him. Now, he's manufacturing. He's not going to want to wait. You're not going to want him to wait. But he's over controlling the process. He's jumping in too early. Now, why would I say that? Well, look what's happening. If I said to you, I've got a sample size of 1, I've got a sample size of 2, I've got a sample size of 2, I've got a sample size of 3, I've got a sample size of 2. If I said to you, at any point, what do you think of a sample size of 2? What do you think of a sample size of 3? What do you think of a sample size of 1? You would say, well, it's rubbish. Yeah, of course a sample size of 1, 2 or 3 is absolutely rubbish. But look how hard he's been working. He's collected 2, 4, 6, 10 data points. But what's he learned so far? Well, he's learning absolutely nothing because he's not being patient. He needs to get his flipping hands off. If he'd have let those 10 data points roll and he'd have had 10 data points in front of him, it's the same 10 data points. It would have cost you the same amount of effort, the same amount of time, but the information would have been so much more powerful. It's the same data, but you're taking your hands away so that a distribution can form and you can think statistically and you can see what's going on. Okay, so be more patient, because at the moment, what have we learned? Nothing. Now, by the way, this isn't a behaviour that's exclusive to operators. Engineers will do this. You have a new product introduction, and instead of doing 30 to 50, and by the way, when you do the 30 to 50, this is crucial. Whoops. That you do it hands off. So you let the distribution form so you can see what it's doing. If you interfere after a few, 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 what do you do at new product introduction? Well, you destroy all your process knowledge because you break it up into tiny little pieces. And after 2 years of doing work on the machine, of operators using the machine, everybody's standing around thinking, we don't really understand what's going on. Now, you don't understand what's going on because you've never been patient enough. Now, how should this play itself through your behaviour and the tools that you should use? Because I know what you're going to say here. Sometimes we've got short run manufacturing. I can't wait for 30 pieces to come off before I adjust the centre of my process. I need to be working faster than that. Well, that's a good point. Well, here's the deal. Here's how to work faster. You do this at new product introduction. Crucial. 30 to 50, hands off. You plot the graph of what happened. Let's say it looked like that. Then every time the operator runs this particular job, you show him the data. You show him the graph, and this is important. Not the data points, not the number. You show him the graph so that when he gets a data point, you're comparing the data point to the previous run. You're comparing the data point to what happened before. Now I don't have to wait for 30 to start to make a judgment on how my process is running. Because look at this, if I look at that, what have I got? Well, I've got a distribution probably. It's going to look like that effectively. Lots of my data, look, is in the middle here. So lots of my data should land there. I've just taken a data point and it's landed there. Not unexpected, it's not wild, it's not dramatically different to what I've had before. How about if I do another one? And it does that. Now what would you think? Well, you'd immediately think, these probably are coming from the middle. These are data points that probably are coming from here. You're already getting a sense, just 2 data points in, that you're probably too high. Let me change that a second, because maybe that's a little bit too extreme. Let's do this one. Let's put one there. So even there, look, we're inside what's happened before. So we're sort of in the pattern that's happened before. But to be honest, I'd be expecting data here. There's more data in this zone here. And I'm seeing results that are a little bit more extreme than I expect. So probably that's telling me to adjust. Now it's telling me to adjust after just a sample size of 2. But the sample size of 2 is so much more powerful because I was more patient, I did this, and I've let the operator see the run chart. Crucial. Let them see the run chart. Every time you run a job, you should pull out the last graph, the last set of data on a run chart so that the operator can have it in front of him. My advice would be not electronic, a piece of paper, print it out. Even if you've kept the results electronically, print the document out so he can have it in his batch data. He's about to make another 50. He gets the graph of the previous job. And now the new data is so much more valuable to him because he's comparing it to what he's seen before, and probably this data would give him a signal to adjust with just 2s and 3s. But it's a much more powerful signal when I'm comparing it to this. Crucial. Engineers, operators, guys, be more patient. Now, if you want to formalize all this, if you want to formalize all of this theory and bring it to life, you can do it the way I've just said, 50 hands off, draw the graph, then use your common sense by using a run chart. But if you really want to bring it alive, Don Wheeler, Short Run, SPC. That's the book to purchase. If you buy Wheeler's Short Run SPC, in it he shows you how to use existing data with an SPC chart so that you can set the process aim, you can think statistically and get the process on target with the shortest amount of data points possible. Because that's what you want to do. In other words, you're going to make the smallest defect rate in the shortest amount of time, and you're going to make more money, because that's what this is about, making pots of money. But you've got to be more patient. You've got to let the process talk to you. You've got to let the process communicate to you. Get your hands off more, let data come at you, and make piles and piles of cash.